Veal, you're on with Pastor Kent, Pastor Leroy. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I've been doing better, pastors. Had a lot of issues at Timothy Bible College, where I'm currently working right now. Recently, I think I talked for a brief time last episode about me working with a paraplegic individual named Clayton.
Yeah.
His name is Clayton Douglas, and he's been doing a lot of things recently that have been making me question things, and I'm really concerned. He's been talking a lot about the Jewish people, and I just don't know how to respond to him, and I'm hoping this pastor panel can help us out here.
I realize that. And
Well, I'll start with a story really quick here. You know, I've talked about my working with Clayton Douglas at Timothy Bible College for the past 2 weeks now, and he's confined to a wheelchair. He had a stroke back in 2017. He's a Vietnam-era vet, and he's a former Blog Talk radio host. I found that out recently. He hosted a show called The Free American, and I got to talking with Clayton about faith while at Timothy Bible College, and he has some very strong opinions, and he started telling me all these things. He started mentioning that the Jewish religion was the synagogue of Satan, and he'd say it like this. He'd be like, the synagogue of Satan. He thought that, and the more I dug deep into his life, the more I realized that his faith walk was quite unique, and it led him to harboring these terrible views, you know. Clayton's a Vietnam-era vet. He didn't go to Vietnam. He ended up having, I think, spinal meningitis, and he actually died. He actually died, and his body lifted. He saw his body floating around the operating room when he was in ice. So he got out of the military. It took him 50 years to get his pension. And then he was nearly killed in a terrible motorcycle accident that he thinks is an assassination attempt on his life by the CIA, believe it or not. You know, he didn't know the Patriot Act got signed into law, and he called his son up, and his son told him to come to one part of the neighborhood. Some woman T-boned him if he got a bump on his head. He went to the hospital, and there was this woman in the hospital who tried to apparently kill him, the CIA agent. She walked in and she said, "Oh, Clay, we got to give you this sedative." And he said, "Well, lady, I don't," this is his words, not mine. He said, "Well, lady, I don't feel like being tranquil today." And she ended up having to call security on him. And security came in, and Clay, in his words, said he invited the security officers to dance. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know why you would want to dance in a situation like that. But he said that they left and left him to his own devices to do his show, and he had this show. But there was this moment in time where there was a meet and greet in Big Springs, Texas, and this individual named Barry showed up. I'm using a pseudonym here. This individual named Barry showed up, and Clayton was a closeted homosexual for a long period of his life, and I'm going to use euphemisms here because I'm sure there's children listening. Clayton really enjoyed polls. He enjoyed polls. He would go and seek them out, and his extent with religion involved him just seeking out as many polls as possible. And that led him to meet Barry at this meet and greet, and they tore this restaurant, Casablanca, down. They took very lewd photographs in the bathroom, and they had fornication, and Clayton was married, but he was divorced, and he had children. And
you goddamn pathetic excuse of a human fucking being. You can't even do a goddamn spelling of a name right without making it a stop, you phony motherfucker.
We didn't mean to do that kind of damage to the restaurant. I'm sorry for that guy. We were just having fun, sir. Don't you have fun when you go to a restaurant?
Yeah, this is fucking from being running and supposed to run in a fucking another fucking Jew as an imposter for Clay Douglas. You motherfucker, you're just lucky that I am a law-abiding citizen, or I'd shoot you between the goddamn eyes. You motherfucker.
I think he was a gay Jew, actually.
I'm sure he was. That's all this whole fucking meet and greet is about. A bunch of fucking gay Jews sitting around in a circle jerk, and you get in somebody's restaurant and tore the place down. What a piece of shit all of you are.
You know, he didn't know what to make of the situation. He had just fornicated with this individual, Barry, a gay Jewish man who ran a flower shop in St. Louis, Missouri, who unfortunately and recently passed away in a terrible train accident. And so Clayton walked through the rest of his life, including now, just with this hatred for the Jewish people. You know, he couldn't bear the thought that their seed had been inside of him. And this hatred just buried him. But even for people like Clayton, I think there's faith in God, because God casts a watchful eye over those who sin and transgress, whether that be fornication before marriage, or whether that be, swinging the other way, or whether that be hating the Jewish people. You know, God casts a watchful eye over all of us. Amen. And there's forgiveness in God.
Yes, there is.
I don't know if Leroy knows the story of this Barry individual. But, you know, Barry found God, I think, too, before he passed.
Well, let me tell you what I know about this Barry character, okay? I used to call into the Clay Douglas show back in, I guess it was around 2017. Probably like the fall of 2017, I called him once or twice. Because he started on about about us. I'm not going to, about the N people. And he started calling us N-words and all that kind of thing. So I called into his show and I said, look, man, why are you doing this? What's the point? Oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And that's what he said, man. And I'm not going to tell you exactly, because this is a godly show. But I'll tell you what, Clayton Douglas was a racist, anti-Semite. He said, and I'm going to quote, I got it written down here, he said, the Holocaust never happened.
Yeah, he does say that.
He said that whole thing was a bunch of crap, man. That it was a lie by the Jews. That's what he said. And I quote him on that. So
yeah, he
one
said
time,
it was
a Barry guy called in and he said his grandfather, God rest his soul, his grandfather was killed in Auschwitz. A lot of people were killed in Auschwitz, man. But what did Clay say? Clay said Auschwitz was a country club, man, that it had golf courses and bowling alleys and an amusement park ride.
Yeah, he told me that they had a slip and slide at Auschwitz, believe it or not. And I don't know how well he is in the head now, and I don't know if he believed that back then. But you know, I just can't believe someone could harbor that much resentment just because they had consensual fornication with a Jewish man. I mean, I don't know. I think that's wild. I think it's wild. And the response was universally, you know, he'd want to live. He'd want to go out. He'd like to do his radio show, but he can't anymore. And he'd love to go to meet and greets with different people, which unfortunately he committed ungodly acts at said meet and greets that we talked about earlier in the show. He's closeted homosexual. Grew up in a time and place where he couldn't come out of the closet. We respect and we appreciate Clayton for who he is today. Even though he's confined to a wheelchair, we teach him. We've gotten away from him from candy. And, you know, that is an important question to ask yourself all the time. You know, what would the person want? Amen.
Is it true, Pastor Veal? Lord have mercy. Sounds like somebody just vomited up the SpaghettiOs, brother. Listen, Pastor Veal, I have a question. Is it true that Mistress Candy had a brothel or some sort of whorehouse that she was running illegally that she tried to get Clay involved with while he was infertile, or that's not the right word, infirm, whatever the word is.
Yes, that is an unfortunate aspect of this story as well. Clayton was he suffered from elder abuse under Candy. In Big Springs, Texas, I'll get into a little bit of the news on this. In Big Springs, Candy had rented out a trailer, and the trailer was called the Freed American trailer, and she had hired Clayton, which made no sense because Clayton didn't receive any money from this. It just went straight to Candy. She had hired him to, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this PG. I'll just go back to what I said earlier in the show. She had hired him to put out.
Fornication?
Yeah, she had hired Clayton to put out because apparently there are some sick, disgusting people out there who enjoy people strapped in wheelchairs for some reason. Defenseless people. And Clayton couldn't say anything about it. He had just had a stroke and he couldn't speak. He couldn't consent. And we talked about consent on this show a few weeks ago, actually, and how godly consent is important. And, you can't consent to doing things with robots and things like that. I even made a song. Clayton was, unfortunately, what's the name of the song? Took him to Timothy Bible College.
I know that she also, or at least I saw this on Facebook, that she ran a computer company called Candy's Classic Computers with all capital K's, which was the inference to her participation in the Big Spring Klan, in the Ku Klux Klan of the Big Springs. Is that also true, Pastor Veal? Because that's what I saw.
Candy was involved in the Klan for a long time. She actually participated in several cross burnings under the guise
I heard she murdered Clayton's dog. What was his name? Biscuit. Bandit. Yeah, he was black. She killed the dog because she killed a dog because it was black, man.
Yeah,
that is a sick individual.
She poisoned the dog, and unfortunately, elder abuse is just something that's truly atrocious and terrible. Bandit used to ride on the back of the Harley with Clayton. We've seen pictures of that. Clayton was such a character before he was confined to his wheelchair. He had marbles that he put behind his Harley Davidson, or maybe it was a Yamaha. I can't exactly remember, but he'd have these little miniature balls that he handed off the back of his Harley. And
he always loved balls. He really did love balls. He loved them so much.
So you do the damage, you fucking jack off in front of a grandmother, and then you want to call her ugly? Fuck you, I'm never talking to you again.